Okay, that's a bit better now. Fine. Right, we're back, and I've killed off the Golem tasks. It was even with a 64 meg. So I changed. So off stream, I changed it to use a 64 meg ISO instead of whatever we had, like 2 gigs, because the upload was just taking far too long. But I've given up. This was like processing for about half an hour. The amount of upload bandwidth was mad. So I'm just going to commit the changes and leave it at that. Do that, git status. I'm going to create a new file, .keep. So git add subtask 2.keep. Commit that. We should just see, yeah, so that's an untracked file, so that's good. Added subtask to dir because it's important. And then I think we should just maybe bring this to a, I want to say bring this to a close for now, but at the very least, I want to write up what we've managed to accomplish. Let's minimize this. It's a bit larger. So at the moment, this is our repo, detailing all of our fun and games using Golem so far. I think it's only fair that we update this. So what have we got? So we've now got 3 different tasks, right? So we've got this one, which very simply checks for prime numbers. That's fine. We've got the compression one. I'm going to say is LZMA compression. True. Primality. Okay. And then I think that will probably work. Everything's broadly the same, I think, from the setup and the install. Filing these, it's still pretty much the same, except we look, if I go into say compression, no, that one's not very good, that readme. Yeah, okay, so this has got a good compile command. So let's grab a copy of that. Should put those in the other places just in case anyone else wants to use this. That's good. That's good. That's not. Couple of different things to commit here. Go back a directory. So in this case, we are adding. Oh, actually, let's get that right. That's not the correct command. Should be compression. Anything that changes, yeah. So added compile command. That's what we've done. And then we can get rid of this because we don't need this package anymore, as it turns out. So let's remove that. Removed reference, and now unrequired. Linux package. Yep. And is there anything else we should say? So I guess we should talk about what we found. This one. We can talk about performance. Large files seem to be uploaded many times. Well, actually, that's conjecture, isn't it? Large files, or all files, actually. All files that we hope to compress. Cause upload bandwidth to be many times the original file size. Task not yet run on a 1 megabyte plus file as of Golem last tried on Golem version, and I guess it's whatever the current Golem version is, right? So if we go Golem, Golem factory, 38 releases. What version are we on now? 21. 0.21.0. All files that we hope to compress cause. I'm just going to put warning actually, because warning. All files that we hope to compress cause upload bandwidth be many times the original file size. This could relate the task being sent to, or this could relate to each subtask being sent to multiple nodes for verification. Fine. So this, the other thing we could do is explain what this is doing. So this is using a basic LZMA compression algorithm. Seemingly, possibly not very effective due to the crate we're using. In.txt is turned into out. Well, actually, no, it ends up being in.txt.7z, doesn't it? Make that look pretty. Commit this. Added suitable findings and warnings. Push that. See what that looks like after a push as well. Get rid of subtask 2, right? Go away. So this is using basic, possibly not very effective due to the Rust crate we're using. As me compression file performance. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Head on over to here. Oh, I didn't commit that, did I? I didn't commit the changes. For those links, so no one can get to my nice MD files. Anything we changed? Check. Is there anything we changed? That, yeah. So added links to all 3 Golem tasks. Yep. Push that up, and we should see the change there. Those should all work. Yep. Nice. What to do now? I mean, it feels like almost experiment complete for the moment. We've proven that large files are tricky. We've proven that small files are great. And if what you're doing really is just a huge amount of number crunching, pretty good for that. I guess we could change prime check to do something a bit more interesting. Oh yeah, we end up with this whole thing's just a bit. I don't know. I don't like this at the moment. I know it's only 27 lines, but I feel like this function should probably be split into different functions. Maybe this could be its own function. Function. Prime check. I think we could do that. This had a function specifically for this. Then we can add a unit test for it, right? I mean, that's proper overkill, but we should do it. We should do it anyway because it's good. It's good practice. Good to be good. And what are we going to return with this? And what have I just done? Because suddenly I'm just blindly pushing stuff to a string. I've got an idea. This this output variable here, instead of it starting out as an empty string, we could have it start out as the answer to this question. Is it prime? I'm going to rename that as well to is prime check. And we probably don't need this note because it's kind of obvious what it's doing. And we're going to return something. We're going to need to return a string. So we're going to say now we're returning a string. And you know what I really miss? I miss real-time updates from Rust. So I'm going to open this folder specifically. What is this folder? This is Golem tasks / prime check. If I open this up, I think we should get real-time. Yeah, there it is. Rust. Rust compiles in real time. We should get real-time warnings. Pretty please, can we have real-time warnings? Yeah, there we go. Cannot find value output in this scope. Yeah, I never actually said it, did I? Fair enough. So we can set it to be a string. That's fine. In fact, this original, this here, this right here. I can't copy it. That's a shame. Root operator. How you doing? Welcome back. How's it going? Let's copy that. Doing good. Yeah, it's pretty good. I lost the stream earlier, like literally lost it. I was trying to get a Golem task to do some 7Z compression. It worked really well. Until you, of course, tried to upload a really large file and then the internet here failed, or tried to keep up with it, and we were dropping about 90% of the frames. So other than that, actually pretty good. And now I'm doing something a little bit more chill, just a simple primality checker. That's a bit easier. So what did we have before? So we had string from blank. I wonder, you know, I wonder if there's a better function we can call than string from. feel like there's like maybe a string new. Yeah, because here they've got a string from. String new. Suspect that might be a smidge faster. Don't know if that's a metric smidge or an imperial smidge, but one of those. I guess possible prime is a thing we're going to pass in, isn't it? And then well then actually maybe new is not the right thing anymore. Maybe it should be from. Ooh, is that what we had? No, it must be a lowercase f. Why does that look wrong? I don't know why that looks wrong. Let's grab a copy of possible prime though. That can go now. Oh, this whole thing here is upsetting me. Let's get rid of it. If this thing's a prime number, then the number that we pass here is prime. Then we want to return output. That's all we want to do. Is that problem solved? Yeah, problem solved. Then what's up over here? This function takes one parameter, but 0 parameters were supplied. All right, have one of those. And you're probably going to complain because it's, oh no, all right, you're happy with that. So what's the issue here? We haven't specified a type. What is this? Is this a borrowed string? What are we passing in? So possible prime starts out. Maybe that is a string that we're passing in. Cool. Okay. And that I just got rid of because we're not changing the variable afterwards. So that's just output. I think we got rid of all the errors. Crack open the terminal. Get back at our starship. There we go. Probably want to build this, right? It's been so long since we built this that. Oh no, there we go. Oof, what happened there? Oh yeah, I need to set up some environment variables because I restarted the editor. Aren't I passing in an integer? Whereabouts? That's a good point. Oh, I see what you're saying. So no, curiously not, but perhaps we should be. So at the moment, it takes a string straight from the command line. As the first argument on the command line. So it comes in as a string and then it converts it here to 64-bit int. I don't know. I think I like that logic being in this function. Yeah. That compile now. Yes, but I was in the wrong folder. So if I go to in, then we run it. Be good. And I really think this needs to be some, like, what are the largest 64-bit integer primes? 64-bit primes. Don't understand, but hopefully I'm going to understand. Oh, this is a very bright page. Oh, that's better. Super bright. 4-bit, just want a list of 64-bit primes. List of 64-bit primes, please. Feel like I'm meant to understand this, but I don't. Install Dark Reader. Is that an extension? Have I got something up here I can just turn on? Add-ons. Dark Reader recommended 300,000 users. Thanks, Alexander, for writing that. And oh, is it still doing that? I'm gonna have a word with that bot 1 second, because in fact, you know what? I'm gonna try and turn off link protection entirely. There we go. Can you do me a quick favor, root operator? Could you post another link and see if that lets you do it without wiping out your messages? There we go. All right, apologies, it did that. Finally, we're on top of the bot. Firefox. Access your data for all websites and access browser tabs. Cool. It's been added to Firefox. Manage your add-ons by clicking. Allow this extension to run in private mode. Don't really want anything to run in private mode, to be honest. Close that. I'm going to call that a swing and a miss. I think that's a swing and a miss. I'm not going to remove it. I just want to kind of disable it. What's this? Oh, there's loads of stuff. Oh, I see the problem. It's because they put a background in front of another background. According to Miller, the 7-element set works for 64-bit integers. So, what? You know what? You know what? I think we can do this. We could do this the old-fashioned way. So let's just go. Let's go to just bigprimes.net. Let's go to primality checker. Mention 16 digits. 64-bit, it's got to be pretty massive, right? Is that a prime number? Oh, let me edit it. Select element. Can I just copy? I want the value. Disabled equals disabled. Not anymore. No, it's still disabled. Get rid of that entirely. Better. Is that a prime number? Okay, numbers up to prime numbers after. Okay, find me a large number. All right. Add any more digits? Fine, let's just take that. That's a large number. And then could fire this off again. We should technically test it, right? That over there. I've just opened up a 50 meg notepad. That may have been an error. We're good. Okay, so hit start Golem. Pretty sure I hit start Golem, right? I didn't imagine that. There it goes. Okay, once that's logged in, we should be able to Fire off a task for it. Haha. On Windows, aren't I? Not Linux. I did it again. That's the thing, isn't it? So we want to go to task. Then in a moment we want to set a new one going. Five nodes. Okay, we can probably set that going actually. Let's fire that off. And let's grab a copy of the subtasks. Should see this. Subtasks, fine. Okay. See that work this time. Oh, that's interesting. It's lost all of the jobs that I was doing before, so it's lost the compression jobs. I wonder if that's because I maybe didn't close this properly. What password? Sorry, I missed that. One for Golem. Yeah, it's a pretty serious password on it. See if we've got any subtasks. Not yet. It takes, I'm gonna say it takes about 90 seconds. We're not far off that. Yeah, it's good to have randomly generated passwords, right? And they're supposed to be fairly long, fairly random. All right, we've just hit 90 seconds now. No one's picking up the jobs yet. Whilst we're waiting for that, we could add a unit test to the end of this. So we don't need that anymore. The nicest place to find. Grab one from like Cruncher or something. Test, loads of tests. Saves me having to type this out. And so we just want to test this function, and we could even assert that these exact values let's do that actually. Create 3 unit tests, or 3 assertions, all in one unit test. And that's a bit of a number, isn't it? Wow. Get what I was testing there, but that was pretty serious. And we just need this function, right? Don't like that space there. I think that's pretty, there we go. That's a bit nice. So we just want, can I just do that? Is it going to let me paste over all of these? Yes. Get rid of that. Nice. So we're pasting in the same thing each time. 901. ToString, I think, will convert this to a string object rather than a borrowed value or a string literal. And then what do we want to do? Then it's going to be is prime for 2 of these. That one, but not this one. This one is going to be not prime with an unhappy face. And ditch that additional bracket, ditch that additional bracket. That might compile. Pretty good. Use super isn't needed. Fine, we'll get rid of it. That's just if we're trying to access private functions, but we don't have any private functions. And now, run cargo test. Had a lot to say apparently. Closed limiter possibly meant for this. Unclosed limiter. Been calling these test. So I should probably do that. Incorrect closed limiter. What did we get wrong? Is prime check. Oh, we didn't have enough brackets on the end. What brackets? That made things worse. Oh, we haven't got a dot. Oh, we're missing some really basic stuff here, aren't we? So what else is this complaining about? Unexpected end of macro invocation. Is prime check. Oh, I've got the arguments they're in the wrong place, aren't they? So that should be there. Maybe it's easier to drag these. It's easier to drag these. I think that should compile now. Maybe not. Hang on. Cannot find function is prime check. It's right there. What's wrong with that? Is this because I didn't... It's because I got rid of use super too early. Yeah, that's what that was. Guess they are private functions by default. So now we can do cargo test again. Okay, so it compiled, but our test failed. So that came out as is not prime. But we were expecting it to say it was prime. Let's do a search for that number. What comes up? Nothing. What a surprise. Let's go back to big primes. Seemingly not in my history. It keeps forgetting stuff. Head back over here. Primality check. Not a prime. Okay, so find me a prime after this number. I really hate that I can't copy and paste inside of this. I'm going to change that. Maybe not tonight, maybe not on this stream, but I'm going to change that. So we're saying that this should actually be prime. And now it's saying 901 is not prime. Which actually, now I think about it, that's very true, isn't it? It's like, can anyone remember their 37 times table? No, me neither. Apparently it was 17. I'm trying to remember that from a previous stream. I didn't actually work that out in my head. So this is actually not prime. So now our test should pass. What? What did I do here? Must have copied and pasted that wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I know, chat. I know. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So we've got unit tests and everything now. But we changed this number, didn't we? Which means that this one here that we passed in is not actually prime. I'm going to fix that. And let's see how the golem... what? We're not getting anywhere with that, are we? Why? No subtasks. Let's check we're connected. 10 nodes. We're not accepting tasks, but that's fine. We're farming them out to other people. Maybe the network's busy. I'm pretty confident in this though. We've got a unit test now and we've just checked that task.json's all good. I think we can commit this. So what have we got? So it's including the refactor we did. So, okay, but I think I want to split this into separate commits. So the first thing is we added a new function. Yeah, okay, I don't mind committing that. That's fine. Not include that, or that, or that, or that. And we can say added new function. True, that's what we did. And now I think I'm happy to say that this is part of the refactor, but I want to split that again because I want to include the test as a separate commit. So yes, include the removal of that line. Yeah, include that refactor. No, don't include the test. No, don't include that file. Refactor to use new function. Yep. And now we want to say, yes, we've added a test. No, we're not updating that file. Added unit test for this prime check. Yeah, I'm sure. And then one more commit. Just that. We can say now primality checking a much larger number. Yep. And we can push that whole thing. See how this is getting on. No subtasks. Definitely got the right ID, haven't I? Yeah, CE ends in 1-4. Maybe I broke Golem. What timeout have we got set on this? 20 minutes per task. Wow. 60-minute total timeout. Possible I broke Golem. Doing anything weird, right? What is this? Bash and dash. I mean, I know what bash is. I don't know what dash is. Anyway, there's Golem. I mean, it all seems to be running. That looks like the right number of processes. Got a hyper G like it normally does. All right, I think we'll leave that to do its thing. Close this. I'm gonna, you know what? I am gonna disable that just for a second. I just disable it across the board. Toggle extension. Yes. Don't need that anymore. And check on our builds. We're up to build 40 now. Already got quite a few queued, haven't we? Just to explain this, by the way, so all of these failures, that's because some of these tasks are using Emscripten, which is a third-party tool I'm using for compiling stuff, and those particular tasks all fail. And I'm just waiting for them to make a fix for Rust. We should see in the coming days, hopefully. And I say that, I have no idea when they're actually going to fix it, but I assume they're going to fix it soon. And then they'll all go green. We got, so our bid's at 1. I don't think that's an unreasonable bid. Golem network status. Is Golem a scam? Number 2. Well, the reason it fails, sorry, just to answer your question, Root, is I'll show you. So what happens is it does all the downloads and compiles, and it's looking pretty good so far, right? It's going through compiling stuff. But then when it's compiling to WASM, it fails. The reason it fails is because of where it actually is. Is it Emscripten? Let's go straight there. There is this open issue, which these two people are thankfully working on. But yeah, they've identified a problem in the Emscripten compiler. Is it a compiler, transpiler? I think it's a compiler, that's the right word. So yeah, that's just pulling down up here. It pulls down the latest copy of Emscripten somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Cloning Emscripten, and then somewhere here it activates it. Yeah, so it's installing the latest Emscripten, and at some point they'll fix it, close that issue, and then these builds will start passing. And then when they do, I thought this would just be neat because I've set this to build every single night. So once they all go green, I'll then get a notification if in future if the builds fail, and then I can let people know upstream that there's an issue. So I can let the Emscripten guys, girls, and everything know, and everyone know that there might be an issue with their compiler and Rust. Yeah, this is like really unhappy though, isn't it? Golem is super upset for some reason. Or working as intended. It could just be that they're pretty busy at the moment. I reckon it could be that. Now I guess there's only... The thing is though, this is one person doing one job, and we're going to need 3 jobs doing twice. They want to verify it, so it's going to take a while. Right. With that doing its thing, and this now looking pretty good, I wonder if we could improve any of the other bits of code that we've got sitting around. Have a quick look. A quick look at these. So prime check we've just pretty much sorted out. Compression I think was maybe pretty simple anyway. Yeah, all we're really doing, I guess we could take this bit out, put it in its own function. Potentially this as well. Yeah, actually, let's do that. Let's open another folder now. So instead of, what are we in? Instead of prime check, we're going to go to compression. Fine, just open that whole folder. And let's do a better job than having just one big main function. This one looks like the first thing to be pulled out to its own function. We can say function write file to disk. That rolls off the tongue. Says what it does though, right? So it says write compressed content to disk, but actually we don't know that it's compressed in here. We only know it's compressed when we call it. Do we want to return anything? Not necessarily, actually. So it says file name 7z, but actually we don't know. 7z's not used till further down here. So actually, this should move. Here. File name 7z should go there. And instead of this being called file name 7z, I think this is just file name, right? We're passing in a file name. Don't actually care if it's anything. And guess the file data. In which case, I want compressed. Seem to have really upset it. Let's have a look at these errors. So there's a type error, probably because I haven't specified a type. So file name is, what are we passing in? We're passing in file name.7z, which is probably trying to infer what the heck it is. We can say it's a string. And therefore it's still a string when it gets here. Okay, it's a bit happier about that. Compressed is a course vector of U8. So I say of course, I mean, they say it's a vector of U8, so it's a vector of U8s, right? So I guess that's a byte vector. Or an array of bytes. Except it's not an array, it's a vector. Anywho, what's this moaning about? Reference to an open file on the system. The operator can only be used in a function that returns result or option. Oh, I see. In this case, we're returning a result. So maybe we should return a result. Maybe that's what we should do. We should say everything's okay. We wrote the file. Does the @sign do the same thing in Rust as it does in C? No, is the short answer. It feels a little bit like it does, but it doesn't. So in C++, you're, what do you call it? Is it a reference to the data or a pointer? But in Rust, it's to say, it's about this whole borrowing thing. Every time I try and explain borrowing, I fail miserably. Maybe there's a good Rust borrowing. So, okay, here's the problem with me trying to explain Rust borrowing. This whole page is dedicated to it. Oh, didn't mean to lose that. But I should. Maybe I should be able to do an elevator pitch on what borrowing is. Maybe that would mean I actually understand it, right? Ownership, borrowing, and lifetimes. So the idea is that the compiler takes care of any possible memory errors that could ever possibly occur, unless you're writing unsafe Rust, which I don't do, but some people need to do it. But the short answer is, let's have a look. We got somewhere here like file. Okay, so file name. So here we set a variable called file name. And ignoring all of that, it basically ends up as a string. In fact, I can verify that by saying this is a type of string, and that doesn't error. So therefore, it's happy with it being a string. So we've got a file name that's a string. Now here, we're passing in file name, but we're passing in instead of the actual variable or a pointer towards something, we're passing in, no, we are passing in file name and saying for a short span of time, you can have access to this memory here. And the same goes on here. But if this occurred, I'm now trying to think a counter example of this. Yeah, no, I can't explain it. There we go, I can't explain it. I'm going to have to figure out a better job of explaining it. I'll save everyone from my mundane explanation. I can do it intuitively. I can do what the compiler tells me to do, right? The compiler keeps it safe, keeps it memory safe, and as long as I keep the compiler happy, it's memory safe. But yeah, essentially after you've used it, after you've set it, each time you have to borrow it. You get fun and games inside loops sometimes, but you don't have any garbage collection in Rust. So this whole borrowing logic prevents the need for that. I'm gonna figure out a better way to explain that. Anyway, where were we? I mean, I keep trying to explain it, but yeah, I tried. Yeah, that's the main thing. But there's a link there. I'll put it in the chat just as a probably a reminder to myself, if anything, actually. Okay, so we've got an out file. Yeah, it's made me realize, actually, trying to explain that has made me realize all I do is what the compiler tells me, and I don't fully understand what's going on behind the scenes. So certainly not able to explain it. Right. Oh, I thought that was okay because I was putting an okay on the end. Oh, okay. It's not that simple. It is that we're not returning anything, and we need to return something. Unused standard result that must be used. So that's because we're returning a result and then we're not doing anything with it. I can probably put an unwrap on the end of here as a hack. Yep. That says don't bother checking the result. Just assume it went fine. We out of compiler errors? I think we are. So, so we can test this now. Hang on. So we're in. No, don't show. What folder could I have possibly accidentally got into there that's going to show 6,000 files? So we want to have a look at target. Hang on. So I think I want to go into in and then subtasks. Probably subtask 1. And if I look in subtask 1, we should see there's a foo. So what I want to do is just check first of all that this generates 7z file. It does. And then the next thing to do is for us to compile. Not that one, because that's for the primes. That is the right one. Of course. So that's because I restarted my editor and therefore my environment, and I had to load up some environment variables, which I've just done by running mscriptions. What with that? Oh, because I'm in the wrong folder now. So I need to go back a folder, run that. Then I can go up a folder. And we can run that. Okay, so that still works. We still end up with a file. It won't let me open that file. It's trying to open it in the editor. Let me just bring this across. So Golem tasks, compression. Cannot open the file. That's interesting. So somewhere along the lines we broke it. So we start off with a perfectly good file that says please compress this, and then I broke it. That's not great. Let's have a little read through. How did we manage that? How did we manage that? I'm going to try a cargo build as well. Oh, you know what? I realized this is going to compile to WASM, but cargo build is going to generate, that's actually going to generate what we need. That's going to generate the binary. So now, yeah, so now if I go into subtask 1, sorry, I was already there, wasn't I? Now if we run this, we should get a different file. Documents, GitHub. Oh no, that's not the right one. Golem tasks. No, we don't want out. We want in. Subtask 1. That was just generated. Just going to triple check that. If we run that. Okay, we have confirmed that that's broken. Ow. How do we manage that? Well, we wrote a file name, which I think was fine because it gets created and it's got the right file name. We're passing in compressed. Fine. Alt file, create file name. So we create the file name, then we write all the data to it. It need to be, I mean, I don't think it can be that. Oh, what's this saying? Go fixes. Okay, so that doesn't think it should be that. The compiler doesn't think it should be that. We pass in foo.txt. We're in the right place. So this should have the right value. Then we read it using file name. I've got a hunch. Hang on, let me just check that, because a while ago, possibly even on the previous stream, I changed to LZMA2 instead of LZMA. Let's do a cargo build on that. Yeah, so that's built. Let's see what we end up with now. Do I keep closing this? I feel like I'm having to reopen this every time. I have to go through all these files. In subtask 1. All right, we found our problem. So it's the LZMA2 thing. However, I don't want to commit that just yet, so I'm going to commit this in multiple chunks. So again, I think we can split this. And yes, we definitely want to add this function first of all. Then I don't care about any of this. Nope. So we can say created new function, write file to disk, then we want to commit again, and let's have a look. So this I changed to specify it was a string, very minor change. This I moved file name completely. Oh no, I moved down to here. I think we can call this a refactor. So yeah, let's include this chunk. Refactor to use write file to disk. I'm happy with that. Then we can say LZMA2, or sorry, LZMA. So this time, yeah, include that. And yes, include that. Switch back to LZMA. as LZMA2 fails. Fails to create a good 7Z archive. Yes, I'm sure, and then we're going to push all of that. And yet again, we could add borrowing thing. That's going to look a bit better now. Yeah, it does. Let's go to prime check. I'm just going to grab the test code. Previously we had this. Actually, now I think about that, how are we going to test writing to disk? I can't really write a test for that. Alright, should we break any of these out into different functions? Whilst we're thinking about that, let's see what's going on over here. Oh, that's looking a bit more promising now. That says finished. These two say verifying. So if I head over to here, yeah, okay. Running on 4 nodes, and that is actually getting somewhere. Alright, that's not too bad actually. Quick drink, 1 sec. That's a massively oversized beer glass. Oh, so someone nearly took a job. This one, I wonder if somebody attempted to take a new task from us, but because those two are finished and those two are both verifying, there was no work for them to do. So the job got cancelled for them. That would make sense. That would make sense. Yeah, so we're trying to possibly break this out. So, I mean, this is all about grabbing arguments and setting a file name. So we could probably wrap this into get first argument. Function get first arg. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. We don't use it. And what would we do? I guess we don't even need to. We could, okay. So we're going to return a string. That's the first thing. And then I'm just wondering, we don't need to set this variable because we can just return it. And then I wonder even further actually. Where this is args, I wonder if we could copy all of this and just put it there and have just some monstrous giant one-liner. That's terribly unreadable. I'm not going to do that. And I wonder for readability if we should say first arg and then return first arg. Is that good readability? And then this just becomes, oh, a 9. Why is there a 9? I only blame myself really. That looks like that reads pretty well. This main function's getting a little smaller now, but hang on a second. Right compress. Yeah, no, that's fine. So I momentarily confused myself there. I was like, I thought we moved that into a function. Yeah, we did. Reduced it clearly from 2 lines to 1 line. Does Rust not have a return statement? No, so all you have to do, rather confusingly, is if you want something to return, you don't have the semicolon. So that's now going to error because it'll say, oh, I was expecting you to return a string and you haven't. I don't know why. I mean, it's telling us no. I was hoping that this would say, hey, you're trying to return a string and you're not, but instead it's just telling us what the definition of a string is. That's not very helpful. But if I do a cargo build, then this will say expected. That's not actually that clear either. Yeah, what this is saying is it expected a string, but it found nothing, and it found nothing when it got to the end of the function because it didn't see a return statement. So yes, to answer your question in a very lengthy way, Rust does not have a return statement. It doesn't have a return keyword. This is a return statement. It doesn't have a return keyword. Yeah, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Again, I don't think I can write a test for this. I don't really know how to write a test for this. Probably have to set an environment variable, then run a test. Can we do that? Can we do that? See if we can do that. Learn something new here. Rust set environment. The thing is, if I do this, it's probably going to come up with loads of... Okay, actually, maybe it won't. This module contains functions to inspect. So we can inspect environment variables. Fine. But what if I don't want to inspect them? What if I want to write one? Sets the environment variable k to the value v. Maybe that's what we want. Yeah, I think we can write a unit test for this actually. I was wrong. I guess you can write a test for anything, right? If you try hard enough, you can write a test for everything. Or you need to rewrite something. So I've copied and pasted all of that in because I'm lazy. Let's give it all proper names. Yep. Oh no, that's not even the one we're going to test. We're going to test this, won't we? Get first arg. Let's replace all of these. Gone. Copying and pasting is 80% of the job. That's very true. That's very true. Copying and pasting is solid 80%, if not more in some cases. I saw a programming course once actually where you weren't allowed to copy and paste anything. You had to manually type everything. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Sometimes I think it's good to do kind of like code dojo and, you know, practice over and over again writing something so that it's just natural. Because actually I can't write that. My brain has not memorized this chunk. It just knows to copy it from GitHub. And the fact that it's even copying it from my own code. I wrote it once, I don't need to write it again. In fact, no, I probably copied it from the manual. Okay, yeah, you're right. Coding is like mostly copying and pasting. Right, what are we doing? Get first arg, and then we're not passing anything into these, I don't think. And do we need to test? We could test this a couple of times. So then we were going to set a, where was that? We were going to use environment set variable key value. Can I not just give it 2 strings? Oh, hang on, this could be tricky. Need to know what the args are, right? Yeah, this could be trickier than I thought. Rust unit test arguments. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so they're onto the right idea. Make your test binary a new cargo project. Hang on, maybe they had a different issue. Yeah, okay, so maybe their issue's slightly different. Argument passing, Rust by example. Look at that. Let's have a look at unit tests. Just see if the word test appears here even once. It does, but I think it's just going to appear on the left, isn't it? Ooh, integration testing. Common setup. This looks like I need to read this. Unit tests are testing one module in isolation. They're small and can test private code. Interesting. They're not wading into the public-private testing of code. That's interesting. Good decision. Integration tests are external to your crate and use only its public interface. Well, this is all going to be in the crate, so specific tests, ignoring tests. Okay, but how do I test? How can I set the arguments? This is going to be very tricky because I feel like this could be like arg1 for all I know, or maybe this is, it could be arg, and then this could be a vector. You know what we could do? We could inspect the environment, the standard crate. We could see what this function actually does. Yeah, maybe we, okay, let's have a look. Rust standard crate. So bunch of standard modules, yep. And we've got one called environment, yep. Then we've got args, structs and functions. Don't think that's going to be what I want. Where can I find this crate? Where is the code for it? Rustlang standard keyword crate. Okay, that is just the word crate. That's Rustlang as well. Okay, maybe it's on GitHub somewhere, right? So by somewhere I mean over at Rustlang. Their repository called standard. Could be that. It feels like maybe I'm going the long way round. Maybe this is a bit much. Let's take us to. Okay, I think this is either not what I wanted or we're lost. We're lost. Back out of it, back out of it. Yeah, Rust unit test arguments. Let's go back to this. Command line arguments. Does that not count as a unit test? It's going to just come up with cargo over and over again, isn't it? What's this? Going back to our first move. The block of code. Not very easy to test, no. Can we find a way to make it easy to test? What's the problem? Good question, sorry. So what I want to do is, at the moment, I want to write a unit test for get first arg, right? So that gets the argument when I, well, yeah. So when we run the program, we should be seeing foo.txt passed as the first argument. And when we run the program, you know, we will. It'll run let file name equal get first arg, which it does here. And then ultimately it uses these two lines to pull it out of the command. Boom. That we've sent it. So this ends up being foo.txt. The problem is, if I'm writing a unit test for it, and I say get first arg, and I expect to get foo.txt as the answer, let's say, simplify that, get rid of those two lines, then if I run, I've just had an answer. I've just had an idea actually. If we did cargo test, this should fail. But what if we did cargo test and I pass foo.txt? Is it that simple? Not sure. That says running 0 tests. No, so that's probably trying to run tests on foo.txt now. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's a shame. Maybe there's something I can do with cargo test. Cargo test threads. Yeah, so what I want to do is just pretend that we're passing in an argument. That would be neat. Do that. But I'm not sure we can easily do that. I wonder. I'd have a stab at it. Lost my way. Cargo test. Yeah, run cargo test. Did that make sense? Or I tried to explain that as best I could. No value found. Because we can have a guess at args. Like if I was an environment variable, what would I be, right? Cargo test. None of those. Somewhere in Rust's code has to be that. Let's head back to GitHub. I think we were onto something with searching Rust itself. Standard, anything from standard? No. But where standard would actually be. So I thought it might be this one. In which case we could search for args. Okay, so possibly not this. Why not just print out the return value and get first arg? Just check it yourself. When you say print out, so why use unit tests? Is that the question, or why am I using unit tests here? You are right. I might be making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't know. Unit tests are good, right? If you're testing your code, then you can be a bit more sure that it's gonna run, and run well. And we can add cargo test to our CI as well. So in theory, this would mean when we go to these builds here, I can add something here to run the unit tests, and then we're laughing at that point. I say laughing. Then we've got a bit more stability. But maybe this is a mountain out of a molehill. You might be right. You might be right. Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. It's faster today, but I guess the problem is when we change the code in future, you've got to remember to test it yourself manually, which is, I guess, less than ideal. Prime check finished. Okay. So whilst we were busy doing one thing, let's have a look. Wow, this is every single time. Golem tasks, UASM, prime check out. So what do we get? Let me bring this over. So we get, this is not prime. Fine. We get 901 is not prime. Fine. Oh. Is this because we ran it on an old number? But I don't even need to check that. I can just go to let me open this. Oh no, I don't want to open this up again. Can you open, is it cool with opening two studio code thingies? Do that? Yeah. Alright, so in this case, let's open up prime check. I do tasks. Let's have a look in here. So this doesn't come up, and the reason it doesn't come up is because we did all of that prime checking on the wrong number. But the point is it came back correct, so I'm reasonably happy that prime number checker is working. Good. Move that over here. Get rid of that. All good. So yeah, this brings us back to, this might be the worst way of doing this, is just manually searching through the code. Yeah, none of this is going to come up with what we want. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. Rust unit test command line. Accepting command line arguments. What? Yeah, okay, so is there a chapter? Okay, it's just saying, yeah, don't do this. Yeah. Yeah, that's us. Environment args. Oh, I wonder if there's a dot set on here. I mean, that would be nice. Maybe that's a bit easier. Set? No, what have we got? All any chain cloned collect filter find. None of these look like they're going to set it. There's a lot of stuff you can run on these. All right. I'm not going to commit that for now. Let's commit everything else though. That was the refactor, wasn't it? So we added the function and we do all that in one go. No, what changed here? Let's say I do want to include that and I don't want to include that. Okay. So we can say refactored, added and refactored to use. Cool. And then let's see what we've got left. That's just our test. args.get. I wish there was an args.set. Returns the arguments from which this program was started, but normally passed via the command line. The first element is traditionally the path of the executable, but it can be set to arbitrary text. Really wish. Let's grep this. If there was a way of doing this. Set argument. Of course, everything's going to say argument, right? Oh, hang on, what's this? Args for the test binary. So okay, so maybe there is a way. If specified, only run tests containing this string and then arguments for the test binary. So we have to specify a test name. What if I don't? What if I really don't want to do that and I just do this? Found foo.txt. Okay, so that broke because I left loads of unfinished code in here. Try that. Running 0 tests. What? Oh, hang on. I think I've got it. I think I know what we need to do. I think we need that. Nope. It says one filtered out. Why is one filtered out? That's different. No, it's not. 0 failed, 0 ignored, 0 measured. Let's try. Yeah, there we go. That worked. Sort of. So that got running one test. So this time it actually ran the test. And the left just returned nothing. So get first argument. Returned. And we know that works, so. In fact, that's curious. I would have expected this to have, even if it failed, it should have said no value found. Instead, it returned nothing. So that's actually quite surprising. Maybe means this isn't working. We ended up with an empty string. Yeah, okay, well, we'll run with backtrace on, because, you know, we want more debug, always. Anecdote assertion failed, left doesn't equal right. Running one test. Yeah, the thing is, we're not really passing any arguments, so having a backtrace is not really going to help us here. Does it return? Oh, I guess the other thing it returns is it is a full-on string. So I could add that, and that might help a little bit. Don't like that backtrace, it doesn't give us anything. Test, one failed. We decided this causes it to not run the test. I am I'm very confused. So if I say to run test, it does, but then doesn't add this as a command line argument. Very confusing. The args function and invalid Unicode. I don't think we need this anymore. We ran a help a minute ago, didn't we? Let's run that again. The test filtering argument, test name, and all the arguments following the two dashes pass to the test binaries and thus to libtest. If you're passing arguments to both cargo and the binary, the ones after the double dash go to the binary, the ones before go to cargo. So if I had to guess, which is admittedly what I'm doing here, okay. I'm sure we did this a minute ago. Then it says one filtered out. Why does it filter it out? Does that mean it passed and everything was fine? So test means it runs them. Okay, it must be because it's a file name. Is it getting upset because I'm passing a file name? Is it escaping? What is going on? Don't know. I'm losing it. So cargo test ends up passing in test. Is that true for this as well? Yes. And as soon as I put a dot in there, it gets skipped. Take the dot out. Take the dot out. Okay, so it's doing something with test. This is starting to make some degree of sense, actually. What if we did something here and we changed this? So instead of getting the first argument, need to remember to change this back, but we grab the second. Gonna need to recompile. So now it grabs the second argument. Right, okay, this makes some degree of sense. So I think to make this into a test that passes, yeah, okay, we can just change this to test. Honestly, that's what it is. That'll do, right? That makes it pass the test. So for this, we're going to want to say note test command is throwing some backticks, cargo test. Okay, I'm happier with that now. Now we've got an automated test. Ish. This still feels a bit hacky. Fine. It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Fine. Git commit. Added unit test, sort of, for get first argument. Oh, doing some vim commands there. And we can push that. And we didn't send another one of those off. Cool. I think we're in. I automatically close these. That's what's happening. That's what's happening to these. I think we're in pretty good shape then. Okay. Quick vote, if you will, for next stream. So I'm thinking of going back to the Primes website for a bit, or maybe working on another project. Maybe we want to do, I don't know. I keep saying we should do a 3D game. Maybe that's the next project. But I think I might be done with Golem for a little while now, at least until they bring out another version. So I guess the vote is, what is the ideal next project? So there's this one. Guess they're all Rust. That's the only thing we don't get to vote on. So there's the Primes website, this one. Or there's more Golem, but honestly, I'm not sure what to do next, Golem-wise. I need to have a think on that. Or maybe we start up some kind of 3D rendering, some kind of game or something. Big Prime's currently winning. What are your thoughts on Golem so far? Depends who's asking. Are you a core dev? Are you part of the team? Are you a token holder? And I will frame my response accordingly. Or if you want, I can just give you my 100% honest answer instead of putting you on the spot. And sorry if we've chatted over Twitter or something and I maybe don't recognize your Twitch username. Honest answer. Cool. My thoughts on it so far, to sum them up. It's an extremely ambitious project, and it's clearly the first attempt that I can see of well, I say truly distributed. It's in many ways it's distributed. In some ways it feels not quite as distributed as it could be. So overall, I think, you know, positive is not a strong enough word. I'm extremely excited about it. There's some use cases that I can immediately see. If you've got some really CPU intensive stuff, some CPU intensive tasks you can put onto it, I think it's quite promising. I think it may be able to compete with Amazon. I mean, there's others, you know, obviously there's the Google Compute Cloud and the Azure and whatnot, but really, when you're talking about cloud, you're really talking about Amazon. So it's definitely there's definitely a place for it to compete. There's a few things I think it's going to have as major hurdles. So earlier I tried to do a just compression, right? 7Z compression, but the upload of the ISO file was, I mean, it took so long. It was only a 64 meg ISO file I was looking to compress, but it ended up sending it to, I'm not sure how many different clients it tried to send it to, how many different nodes, but for about an hour or so it was uploading. And I think, you know, I know this is beta software, obviously. and it's their first release, or first. It's not out of beta anyway. So great, but I think that actually is a problem. I'm not sure how they would fix that. Maybe there's a neat way to fix it, but if you've got to upload a task, like let's say you want to compress an ISO file, and then you want that to be you want it to be checked, right? Because you don't trust every node on the network. So you have to upload it twice, because you're not uploading it to the network and then it's being distributed. Your computer is having individual conversations, as it were, with different nodes on the network. So if you want two people to compute something, you have to send the file twice. And if that's a gigabyte file, if that's a 10 gigabyte file, that's going to be a problem. So I think things like compression, maybe not as good a use case at the moment as I'd hoped, but CPU heavy stuff, fine. And then the other thing that I think I worry about in terms of mass adoption for it is if I wanted to bring this into my firm, let's say wherever I work, let's say I want to bring this in as a possible tool, and I could bring it in on a couple of different grounds, cost saving potentially, definitely some cost saving. Sorry, I've just realized I've just sat on this project, so I'm gonna put something else on the screen for a second. Let's go back to our Golem task, so we'll leave that there. So cost saving potentially, but there's a few issues that I don't think I could work around. There's a list of countries that legally, a business is not allowed to do business with. The US keeps a list of those countries, the UK, and I'm pretty sure every country will have a list of other countries that you're not allowed to do business with. And the problem is with something like Golem, you can't actually verify that. So I think there's a legal hurdle there, something that needs to be tested in the courts. That could be interesting, to say the least, but not insurmountable. Not insurmountable. So my thoughts on Golem are: this is ridiculously exciting. It works. It actually works. We've proven that. We've got code being written, compiled to WebAssembly. It's arbitrary code as well. It's not like I'm compiling somebody else's library. This is code that I've written, usually with the help of everyone on stream. And we're running it on other people's machines. It's getting verified because it's running on 2 or more machines. I think 2 machines actually. And we can break tasks up. So this is definitely going in the right direction. And what else is there? That's the other thing. I mean, this team, I'd never met any of the Golem team, but this team have put together a lot of firsts as far as I can see. I'm very excited for this project. Hope to contribute it in some, I'd like to contribute to it in some meaningful way, but I imagine the entry, the entry to it is quite high. The bar, technical bar, any technical hurdles, just to understand how the insides of this software is working, I imagine are quite high. Anyway, that was quite a long answer. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this project for sure. I'm going to come back to it every time Golem brings out a release. I'll probably come back to it. All the code for everything that we've written is open source here. We've currently got these 3 different tasks, and I'll try and find more use cases. I've got one actually. There's one more that we could maybe add to this, but the difficulty level of it is quite extreme. And I was thinking, if you've got a cryptocurrency with a, let's say, long block time, more than what's Ethereum, like 15 seconds. If you've got a cryptocurrency with a long block time, like 10 minutes, maybe that's Bitcoin, then you could have something like Golem, and definitely not Bitcoin because the wrong sort of cryptocurrency. But you could essentially set a minimum price of what people would be paid for their computing time by having spare Golem capacity computing cryptocurrency, right? But I think doing that in WebAssembly is going to be it's probably going to be orders of magnitude too slow, and it would need to be maybe for only some specialized cryptocurrencies, ones that are FPGA resistant, and ones that are GPU resistant at the very least. But I think the difficulty of that is quite high. I don't think that's something I'll be able to do in the next week or so. But yeah. Anyway, so you were coming at it from a you're learning Python to integrate something cool on Golem. What sort of thing are you hoping to integrate? I guess that's Python to WebAssembly. I've never done before. Which you can do with Emscription. Cool. Cool. Yeah, as I say, I'd love to hear about anything you're working on. If there's any particular tasks that you end up writing, be really cool. Especially if you upload them to GitHub, that'd be really cool. Just to see what other people are doing with this. Cool. Right, I think probably leave it there. It sounds like we might be moving on to big primes on the next stream, unless I have some kind of I don't know, some kind of epiphany on what this or how this fourth task might work. So I'll leave it there. Thanks everybody. It was a good stream actually. I think we cracked this test bug, or cracked this seemingly more complicated test, which is good. I'm very pleased with that. And we've got unit tests now across a lot of our code, which is crucial for stability as we move forward. Don't think we left any tasks running. No, we're all good. Yeah, what time zone am I in? It's just coming up on midnight here, so I'm in the UK. Have a great day, good morning, good night, good evening, good afternoon, brunch, whatever time of day it is there. Cheers all.